Don't it just feel amazing when that ding, ding, ding light bulb moment happens and you see what's really been going on?
Was there a turning point for you? Like, were you always kind of cynical of these things, or was there some kind of turning point in your experiences that made you say, well, hold on a second, the things that I've heard and been exposed to and experienced, it's not actually what they've said it is, that there's something deeper and bigger going on here?
I mean, I think it was a little bit like Hemingway's description of going broke, gradually and then all at once. Yeah. So just, spending my life there, I was never that impressed by the people I lived around. I liked them a lot, but I didn't think they were smarter than me or wiser than me because I know them, Right. So I was never, and I lived in a world where like everyone went to Harvard, My grandfather went to Yale, like he was an alcoholic. Like that didn't mean, you know what I mean? Like I'm not impressed by merit badges and never have been.
Right.
So, but I wasn't against the system at all. Really what changed me was watching Trump in 2015. And I knew Trump before, because I'm in the media, so I'd known Trump, not well, but I'd known him for, 15 years before, right? A long time. And I was like, I thought he was kind of a buffoon. I still think that sometimes. But what changed my view wasn't Trump. It was the reaction to Trump among my neighbors. So Trump would say something in his like florid orange way, like, why are we funding NATO? And that was the one that got me. I remember this. And I'd never questioned NATO. Because I grew up during the Cold War, and NATO was the bulwark against Soviet aggression into Western Europe. And like my dad worked for the government. So like we were totally for NATO. Why wouldn't you be? But that ended in August of 1991. I was on my honeymoon when the Soviet Union collapsed, but we still had NATO in 2015. Like, what was the point? And I'd never thought about it in my life. And Trump's like, why are we funding NATO? And I thought that was a really interesting question. Okay, well, I don't know why. What's the answer? And my neighbors are like, shut up! He must be killed! It's like, okay, but maybe shut up, maybe he must be killed. But what's the answer to why are we funding NATO? Is there a good reason? Shut up!
Yeah.
They were so hysterical about obvious and basically common sense questions about the way things were working that was a tell to me. I was stunned by it, actually. I was like, reasonable people who are acting out of honorable motives should be happy or at least willing to explain themselves. Like, hey, Tulsi, why are you doing that? If you're like, shut up, then that tells me like you're doing something wrong. If you're like, well, here's why I'm doing it. You may disagree, but here's why.
Yeah.
They couldn't do that on any topic. Immigration policy. I've never been like, my best friend's an immigrant. I've never been against like immigrants or anything, but I was like, you should have control of your border. And Trump, in his Trumpian way, was basically arguing for that. They just couldn't deal. They couldn't deal with any questions about the way things were then operating. And when I saw that just completely exploded my view of the system. I was like, this system is a lot more fragile than I realized. It's a lot less legitimate than I realized. And then just the whole 4 years of Trump, and like he'd say something that was like truly insane, like the intel agencies are spying on me, and you're like, okay, the intel agencies are not spying on, like, what, you know what I mean?
Right.
What are you like? Was the moon landing fake too?
Right.
And then you'd find out like a year later, actually the intel agencies were spying on him, and then everyone would be like, well, they had to. Wait, and you'd be like, wait, what? First of all, he was right. Second, I don't care whether I don't care who the president is. You can't spy on the president because he works for you. That's an attack on our system. No, it's totally fine. I would see stuff like that, and I was just like, you know what? I'm out. And we ultimately left the city, and we still have a million friends there. I have some of my closest relatives still live there. But I really became convinced that the system was not going to be enduring.
And that's the problem. People just go with what they're told. They just go along with it. They don't ever ask questions and dive a little bit deeper and see, okay, these people, are they firmly planted? Is their foundation built on the rock or is it built on sand? When things get tough, when things hit the fan, when somebody questions your motives or why you think the way you think, believe the things you do, and push this stuff that you push, is it really what you believe, and why do you believe it? Is it fact, or is it based on some faulty way of thinking? And that's the problem with the world we're living in today. People have been pushed this nonsense, this false rhetoric, this agenda, and they don't actually see what's going on behind closed doors. It's all smoke and mirrors just to keep your attention focused on that stuff, the minuscule, minute details, instead of the evil, dirty deeds that are really going down. People hated Trump because he asked questions and then they didn't have an answer. People today, they get upset when you ask them a question why they believe the buffoonery that they do and they don't have an answer. They backpedal, they bash, they get vulgar, they slander, they do all this, that, and the third. All Trump said in 2015 was, why are we funding NATO? And in 2022, the question still stands. Now we're out here securing everyone else's home base but our own, making sure everybody else is taken care of but our family and our children and things of that nature. We're literally out here spending our tails off, unleashing all sorts of funds, acting like they're unlimited, like we got unlimited resources and all that, while in a deficit, while owing trillions of dollars in a ginormous hole that we've dug ourselves in under this foolish administration. What we need to do is we need to get on a Dave Ramsey budget plan. We need to get on the baby steps. We need to do a whole lot of no spending months. That's the solution. Now, as far as Tucker is concerned, we definitely have some similarities. I can't relate to the Harvard and Yale attendees and alumni. I didn't have any of that in my family. But as far as not being able to question your elderly, your parents or your grandparents without them calling you a fool or just bashing and belittling you just because you asked some questions, you wanted them to unveil why they think the way they think and stand on the foundation that they do. But most people aren't able to explain it. And I was lost. I was stranded. I grew up on the far left side. I was brought up that way. And I'd be considered definitely a never Trumper if we rewound like 5 years ago. That victim mentality that people always love to talk about, I know all about it because on my father's side, he's half black. My grandpa was as black as my Rodecaster Pro 2 audio interface. That was pushed all day long, that black people got the short end of the stick, that the world was out to get them, all of that. My dad and my uncle went to school for African-American studies, and it's like they completely neglected the fact that the other half of them was white. And at the end of the day, none of that matters. Your pigmentation, your melanin or lack thereof, it has no bearing on how successful or lack of success that you attain in this life. Nobody's holding you down based on how you look, oppressing you, anything like that. None of that stuff is an actual factor that holds you back. If you want to attain any level of success here in this amazing country, the United States of America, you have to work your butt off and you have to be strategic about it, more so than the next man or woman. No one owes you anything, not a job, not reparations, not a darn thing. Fast forward a few years, I'll spare you the details. I'm 28 years old at the time of this recording. It is my birthday today, February 2nd, 2023. So if you want to show some love in the comments, by all means, they're welcome. But I've matured a little bit. I've gained a level of common sense and reality perspective. I see what's really going on in society. And most importantly, I found Jesus Christ and started to pursue that righteous path. And I see how full of crap that my family has been and many people in society. I now see that this woke, woe is me mindset that's flooding our society is absolutely foolish. It's false. It's a farce. That's what it is. And don't buy into it. You got to stand firm on the godly American values that we were founded upon. And when people keep pushing this, ask questions, dish out facts, show them what's actually playing out every day and that nobody's holding anybody down based on how they look. All that to say, I stand in front of you today as a proud American, not American, because I acknowledge the fact that brave men and women have fought and died for the values in this country, for your ability to ask questions and then to stand up for what you know is right. The Donald Trumps, the Tulsi Gabbards, the Tucker Carlsons, I appreciate these people. I respect them. This interview was great all around. Huge respect again for both of these two for being civil, for having a discussion, and for Tucker Carlson to just be able to unleash his viewpoint without being interrupted. I absolutely love it. Now, I'm not sure if either of these two walks in faith and has found Jesus Christ, found that salvation, repented, any of that, but best believe I'll be praying for them. I pray for you too. I pray that when it's all said and done, that they turn to the most important everything. Turn up, don't turn left, don't turn right, look up, check up with God Almighty and get right with the Lord before you get right with Donald Trump or any of these political figures. Now, I'm going to be honest, as far as presidents are concerned, as far as leader of the free world holding that position, I would much rather a strongly convicted Christian man that's actually walking that righteous path and practicing what he preaches. But these days, we got a whole lot of hypocritical Christians that only praise the great I am when it's convenient or they want attention. But we got Donald Trump. And if that's our best option against the anti-life, the anti-gun, and the anti-God, it's a no-brainer for me because I know the man ain't perfect, but neither am I, neither are you. The only perfect person to ever walk this earth is God in human form, the Messiah, Jesus Christ. So if it comes down to Trump, that's who's got my vote. But what do y'all think? Who would you vote for? Ron DeSantis, Donald Trump, somebody else that I haven't heard of? Let me know down in the comments. Most importantly, though, and above all of these worldly issues that we deem as important every single day, I fall victim to it too. You may not have thought of this, but God doesn't care about solving problems in the White House. He cares about getting folks right in his house. So if you're a member of the kingdom, not just claiming you're saved, not just saying you believe in God, and then still diving into porn, lying, cheating, stealing, diving into a bunch of men and women and living as though truth is relative, like you're your own God, abortion is cool. No, it's not. You're living in the same path that the sinners that you keep pointing the finger at. You're living in lawlessness. So what we all need to do that are truly saved, that are truly walking with Jesus Christ, we need to be lifting everyone up. Everyone on all sides is the mission field. And we need to direct people's life toward practicing righteousness, not just saying you're doing this, that, and the third, actually living in reality and walking that way. Ask questions, direct people, and point out sin when you see it. Don't just judge off mere appearances, judge with righteous judgment, because when it's all said and done, no matter what you think, the Almighty is going to get his praise, whether these evil worshipers like it or not. So y'all better pray for this world, and you better lift up this world and be salt and light when you have the opportunity to. That's all I got for today. If you enjoyed this video, you enjoyed hearing my perspective, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe if you're not already, ring the bell so you get notified anytime I post a video. If you want to take it a step further, you want to support my channel, you can always get awesome shirts like this made by my lovely wife over in her Etsy store. You can also get tumblers like this, also made by my wife, now available. This is Be the Light, Matthew 5:14. She's got a bunch of different designs. Go check it out for yourself, as well as all my other stuff down below. Until next time, I love y'all. Godspeed. I'm gone.